Hey guys, Josh here, and today I thought we'd take a look at Takar's masterpiece MP-17 Prowl. Now, before we get into the transformation and look at the details of the car, I did want to go over a few comparisons for you. The first one being the guns. Now, this is something very minor, but it's something that I appreciate, especially for this being a masterpiece line, that the top one here, the one in the left hand, is the masterpiece gun, and this one being the G1. Now, there are a few subtle differences, like this comes to a point where this is rounded off, and right here is a few different mold designs than you have here on the G1, and the fact that this one's chrome. Other than that, this is an absolutely fantastic representation of the original G1. You could put this gun amongst a ton of other guns, put them in a pile, and I would be able to pick out that this guy is going to go to one of the 280Z figures. Another thing that I wanted to kind of point out that is part of the gun feature is you can push this section down just like so. It kind of has a hook there. You have the hole here, and you can push that in. Now, this might be something kind of cool to some people. I guess if you throw the box away or you don't want to put the gun in the box and you want to display them in car mode, you have a place to put it so you don't lose it. But someone that, I don't really like it, and also it being a masterpiece line, especially from Takara, if third parties are able to, separate this and put it somewhere in here, store it in the sides or in the exhaust or something like that, why can't we see masterpiece lines start to do something like that? But if it takes away from this beautiful design, then I don't mind this. I just don't care for the gimmick at all. Something else that I wanted to kind of point out, the absolute detail that went into creating this figure and the other 280Zs whenever they come out. Now, a little bit of a history lesson. If you haven't seen my original G1 review whenever I did Blue Streak and Prowl in the same video, I pointed out that Blue Streak was the very first figure that we ever got. And he had the T-tops, which makes perfectly sense because the 280Z came with the T-tops. But whenever they came out with the Prowl figure, which was next in line, they did the exact same body, but they painted over the T-tops and just added the siren. So you still have that, T-top look, even though he couldn't use them because he has a siren on top, but they didn't do any changes to the mold. As you can see with the masterpiece, them kind of staying in line, Takara, with keeping it as toy accurate as possible, they left the T-top sections in there and just and painted over it and added the siren. Now, whenever you guys do get the Blue Streak design, he has a spoiler, a little bit of a lip kit here, a different bumper, and you can see that he does not have the T-top design here at the roof. That is just a one solid piece. And whenever you buy the Blue Streak figure for the masterpiece line, if you plan on getting it, it's going to look exactly like this. So you're not going to have that cutout T-top painted over. So very true to the original G1, and that's something that I do appreciate. I'm glad they didn't just leave it solid and add a siren, that they still left that cutout T-top look. Another thing that I wanted to point out in the original, you can see that we didn't have any type of side mirrors like you did with, I believe it was Sideswipe, I believe had side mirrors. But in America, you would have them right here, to where in Japan, you would have them here. The reason why Japanese do this is whenever here in America, you look at the side mirrors, or a lot of other countries as well, you take your eyes off the road to look to the side for a moment. Just for a split second, no big deal. But in Japan, whenever they look, they can see them right here, and they never have to take their eyes off the road. They're always looking out the front windshield. So I think that's kind of a nice design, and since they did add these side mirrors, that they did it accurate to the Japanese. Now let's go ahead and take a look at some of the details of the figure itself. One, you can see that the tires are absolutely accurate to what the original car sport at that time. The Highway Patrol Police, no smudges, nothing wrong with my particular figure. If you remember on my Red Alert review, I said that there was a few things to where things didn't line up, or the fire department symbol was kind of crooked. This is absolutely perfect on both sides, and even where the black line up, as you can see, it's all perfect. There aren't any, even where the cracks are, there's really no fault in the vehicle at all. I also like the fact that whenever I did my Red Alert review, it had like different shades of red here and there depending on whether they painted on the roof, this section, this section. This is an all white, looks exactly the same color. There aren't any like two tones there of white. It's absolutely perfect. It all looks good. Even this little plastic section up here looks the same color of white as this does right here. It does lack a few details whenever you put it into robot mode, but we'll get into that here in a second. One of the other things is you get a back windshield wiper, which in the originals, I'm just using Blue Streak here because I have Prowl transformed, you didn't get a back windshield wiper. So that was very nice. Instead of stickers, these are actually painted on. To kind of give you a little look at the detail there. And I think Repro Labels is going to have a field day with this guy, especially whenever he turns into robot mode. But get, you know, a little sticker right here, one in the back as well for the license plate. As you can see, you have that Autobot symbol on there that is just, I guess, laser printed on or painted on, however you want to say it. But it's on there, you know, so you can't scratch it off or peel it off. The headlights look absolutely fantastic as well. And then these down here to the side, these are painted on. And whenever you look at the bottom, other than the hands being there, you really can't tell that this is a Transformer. So really nice design. I'm really pleased with this guy. It is definitely up there. It's one of my top 3 favorite, you know, masterpiece figures so far. So let's go ahead and get into the transformation. And alright guys, now getting into the transformation, the first thing that we're going to do is pull this section back right here, and you're going to swing it back on these 2 joints. If it comes apart, it's not that big of a deal because you're going to open those up and just keep on extending out this way, just like so. Next thing that we're going to do is push this section up just like so and unplug it from there and just kind of leave it sitting right on top. Next thing that we're going to do is take this section. It doesn't open all the way, just a little bit, but you can get your finger in right there and kind of push the head out and just push that until it snaps into place. Then these 2 side sections, as you can see that there's a little joint there, a little joint there where the mirrors are. Just take those, bring those around, and there's this little groove in there. You're going to put each one of those in one of those grooves. The only negative to that is you have these 2 rubber mirrors kind of hitting side by side, and I'm wondering if you do that enough that one of them might end up, you know, falling off or warping or something like that. So that's a little bit dangerous, but wish it was something you could do there, but unfortunately not. Next thing that we are going to do is go ahead and take the doors out. So you'll kind of pull out a little bit there. As you can see that that little peg kind of fits right in there. You don't need a whole lot of force, but just kind of, you know, push it out a little bit there. Do the same with this one. And pull that out. Flip those doors out. Go ahead and fin those up if you'd like. You can leave them down if you prefer. Then with this section here, we're going to move this down, but at the same time you're going to move these shoulder sections back up into place. So get that done, and we'll spin the tires to the back. You can come down all the way with the head, and there he is. He's about halfway done so far. And we just leave these all to the side for the moment. Now getting onto the leg section here, you're going to come around here and get your thumb on this little thing here. It'll make it a little bit easier. Pull that back. The exhaust, you just grab that. It makes that kind of easy. This section here, you're going to pull up on both those sides and just kind of leave them up just like so. Come in around here, separate there. And this is where it gets a little bit tricky, and you kind of have to make sure you're separated here. This splits off right here, and so you're going to need to separate, and you can see that's pegged into there, and just kind of start swinging this around, and you'll kind of see that joint, it kind of reveals itself. So this little section here is all the way up here, and it kind of swings down to where now you can fold or extend the leg out just like so. Do the same thing with this one. Kind of pop that off that joint, make sure that's loose, and start swinging around on that joint all the way down, and then we can extend the leg out. Now to get the feet done properly, I'm going to push up on these 2 sections right here. This is going to swing around, and we'll swing this one around. It's going to be the interior of the foot, just like so. These are going to be the back heel spurs. Sorry if you couldn't see that. These 2 little things are going to be the back heel spurs. These windows, just kind of fold those down and tuck them in between that little peg. Do the same thing with this one here. And there you have your leg section done. Just get them to stand. It does have that nice ankle tilt. Then you can rotate the body here. Oh, come on, dude. Get up. If we supposed to rotate, there we go, it was caught on that. Then with this section, you just pull that back, fold that in. Then you have his little cannons, which you don't have to use if you don't want to, but I'm going to go ahead and flip them up because I think they look cool. Then you have a little open slot there and these two pegs, which these will peg right in there. And you just get him posed. He is done for the transformation. The first time you do this, it seems a little overwhelming, or at least it did to me, but after a few times, it's pretty much like all the other Masterpiece. You kind of get the hang of it, and it's pretty easy. And there is Prowl. This guy looks absolutely fantastic. Now his gun will go in either hand here. I'm going to go ahead and we'll just put it in this right one. It doesn't matter. And it is just one clamp, so it doesn't have individual articulation there. I believe that's the exact same for a side swipe. And it does have that little notch on each hand, so depending on which one you want to put in there, it has a slot here. Right, it has a notch on each end of the gun, and it has the slots on the hand. But there he is, guys, and you know, been waiting on this figure, and he is worth the wait. This guy is absolutely fantastic. Now, I'm a fan of Prowl. Plan on getting all three of them because they're all three different characters, even though they're off the same mold. I absolutely love them. And Smokescreen's going to be a little bit different. So we are going to have, you know, a spoiler here and a different bumper. So he's going to be quite different, and I believe he's going to have the anime version head as well. But very nicely done on this figure. So I'll kind of give you guys a little 360, and then we'll go over articulation and comparisons. Yeah, he is a little bit hollow back here, but that is because of transformation, and he's kind of, you know, missing a little bit, but I'm not going to display him that way. I'm going to display him looking forward, and in that way he looks absolutely amazing. Now, Sideswipe on the other hand looked a little bit better in the back, as you can see, but still had that one part, you know, where his backpack is a little bit bigger than you know, this section right here. Not a big deal. You're going to have to give, I guess, a little bit because it is a transforming robot. Now, as far as articulation goes, he can rotate his head. You can go 360 there. These little cannons, like you kind of already saw, they can do however you want. The doors, they can go up and down, so you can leave them whatever your preference is. I do kind of like that look there. Now, with the arm section, the shoulder, this does kind of come out a little bit. This is on a ball joint, so they will fall down, but you want to kind of keep them up in the shoulder position there. They don't rotate a lot there just because they're hindered by these two sections here, but not that big of a deal. You do have a joint here and a joint here, so you have the nice double jointed elbows, which is part of the transformation. The hands, they do rotate. No thumb articulation, but the other four fingers are in a clamp. And he kind of has this finger, index finger, to where it's kind of molded to where it's like a trigger finger, so that's really nice. As far as the waist, you know that it does rotate there. You do have these two little side skirts that can position however you want to do it. The legs, you do have a nice ball joint here. Can't go forward all the way, but it can go back quite a bit there. It can go out all the way. Rotate, bend here, almost, I guess you could say 90. If you start bending and, you know, pulling off of this joint right here, you can go almost 180 there. And you do have a little bit of, you know, ankle rocker there, which is nice. I like that in Masterpiece figures. So we'll just kind of get him positioned here. And let's take a look at him in his original G1. Now, this is what I absolutely love about Masterpiece figures, and me coming from being, you know, a G1 collector. This is what I was used to as a kid, and I thought it was the greatest thing in the world. And in my imagination, this is what I was playing with. And it's really great to now, you know, almost 30 years later, or 30 years later, finally getting this in my hand. And, you know, this thing, still, I love it to death, but this is in my imagination what I was playing with the entire time that I had this guy. Now, as you can see, that there's a lot of things that Rebel Labels can do, and I'm sure they'll do a good job. As you can see, you got the highway patrol, you know, police, or I wonder if they might even come up with, because you had different variants that instead of police and highway patrol, they said like Policia and stuff like that. So I wonder if they're going to come out with different stickers so you can put, make it like a variant. But there's those two guys side by side. Get a nice look at them there. And as far as the shoulder cannons, you do have these, but I believe that if you had an Amazon exclusive or there's a third-party company that's also coming out with some as well, that you can add those so you can have rockets. Another size comparison that I'll do real quick for you guys. There he is with Lambor or Sideswipe. So as you can see, they're the exact same height. Excuse me. And one last comparison for you guys. Here he is with MP-10. So just in scale the way that he's supposed to be. I love this figure. It's absolutely fantastic. I love the Masterpiece line. They're doing everything exactly the way that I want them to do, except for weapon storage. But that's something that is very minor, so I'm really not going to get into it. But thanks a lot for watching, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you learned something, and I will leave the G1 Prowl review in the description if you haven't seen it, because there's a lot of information. And one of the other things that I kind of pointed out in that the original Autobot logo that you see here was actually inspired off the Blue Streak and Prowl face. So there you go. Thanks a lot for watching. Talk to you later.